It's time for your daily dose of all things Chicago sports. This is the Daily Score. Now, here's your host, Mark Grote.
Well, we've all been thinking about the Super Bowl over the last couple of days here since Kansas City wins it again back to back. But what we're really thinking about is, except for maybe in Kansas City, they definitely got a legacy building, just the way we had a legacy building with Jordan, the Bulls, and the 90s. Most of us are thinking about and responding to and reacting to and discussing and just spilling all over in happiness Patrick Mahomes. That's the conversation right now, because he is all of a sudden that it's his time. It's his time. And I mean, in all of sports, it's his time, because there's been certain athletes who have had that power through the years where it's just their time. We know Jordan, it's just Jordan's time. There was a while too where it was LeBron, where it was LeBron James's time. And some people would say that maybe his time is still kind of there. I mean, his influence is still heavy, all of that kind of stuff. Different debate. But there, it was his time, and everybody knew it, that he was the biggest sports star. So that's where things are with Patrick Mahomes right now. It's his time. And that's what, when he threw that game-winning pass, that was the point at which it clinched it. Like, if there was any doubt, the trajectory that he's on, it was put out, as far as I'm concerned, right there. It's crazy to think about that we had come to a consensus in this country, in this NFL country, that Tom Brady was the GOAT, is the GOAT, still is the GOAT. He is. But man, it has not taken long for somebody else to come into the picture and now legitimately be in the picture. Like, there is, they always talk about political candidates, whether or not there is a pathway to success. If they see a pathway, they will remain in the race. They will remain competitive. There is a pathway for Patrick Mahomes, 3 Super Bowl wins now, to catch who has been universally accepted, Tom Brady, with his 7 titles, as the GOAT. So, and hey, if, let's just say, Patrick Mahomes gets to 5 Super Bowl wins, okay? Because we're still asking a lot for him to just win 4 more and 5 more to actually break the record. But if he gets to 5 wins, I think you start, that's maybe even just 4, maybe even 1 more, and then he's definitely in the conversation for greatest of all time. I mean, just would be. I mean, there's a lot of guys that were for a long time before Brady just kind of ran away with it. But I think he starts to enter that conversation. This is just me right now. I think after a 4th, he would have to be there. He's up. For some people, he may already be there. And I'd love to hear what you guys have to think if you're able to react to this podcast. If you think, what would it take for Patrick Mahomes to actually be in the real conversation about supplanting Tom Brady, after I felt like we went through a lot as a nation to get there. Tom Brady made it impossible to deny. Like, his approval rating as GOAT was, I felt like it was like 95% of people. And every once in a while, somebody throws somebody else in there, the John Elway, a Peyton Manning, fill in the blank, Aaron Rodgers, Brett Favre, throw in guys every once in a while. But for the most part, I think it was like that. I was also thinking about this when it comes to Patrick Mahomes, that the athlete that I keep thinking about in terms of an analogy or something similar to in a different sport is Tiger Woods. As Pat Mahomes chases the undisputed heavyweight champ Tom Brady, you have Tiger Woods, and I think I don't know if it's over for Tiger winning majors, but Tiger Woods has been chasing Jack Nicklaus, who his major titles at 18 had been something that nobody really thought was going to be broken anytime soon. But then along came Tiger Woods, and he was really on. There was a pathway. There was a pathway for Tiger Woods. I don't know if there still is, but I think that that's like the new hot shot progressive player, like changing the game the way Tiger Woods did. Patrick Mahomes, to a large degree, changing the game. I mean, just like becoming that superstar, outside of the box, inside the box, everything quarterback, that every universal love, all of that part. So I like that as a comp. From a Bears perspective too, obviously this is a point in the category of Caleb Williams. If you're a Bears fan and we are talking about the question that we will be asking for a long time up until the draft or until we know better, and that is the question of, do you want to build around Justin Fields, or do you want to go kind of the unknown, but you think you kind of know that this could be an elite quarterback who could be better than Justin Fields and Caleb Williams? This is where you say you take like a point in the favor of that you roll the dice for something that could look anything like Patrick Mahomes. And realize too that with Patrick Mahomes winning the Super Bowl, and we start to do the Caleb Williams thing again, it makes you realize, or sort of come back to reality, of how far away Caleb Williams is from anything, being in the NFL, going to the playoffs, having a winning season, winning a Super Bowl, winning an MVP, that at this point, it's really tough for any of us to actually make that comparison. Like Patrick Mahomes with that Super Bowl win, you have to readjust the way you talk about him. You really do. How you categorize him, who you compare to him, and as we've been doing on the podcast here today, who we might be chasing. But yeah, it's definitely a point in favor of that. And I keep thinking about, the quarterback thing we'll continue to discuss. But I'm really interested in how they go about continuing to build the wide receiver core for the Bears, or just the receiving core in general, throwing the tight ends in there as well. But you look at, obviously, how successful Justin Fields was with DJ Moore. DJ Moore didn't necessarily lead to a jump in overall production for Justin Fields, but he did show a really good game, two-man game, if you want to say, with DJ Moore. Really good chemistry. It worked out. They need another one of those guys, no matter who the quarterback is. And it is interesting this year because there could be some big dogs available in free agency if their respective teams don't gobble them up, like T. Higgins, like Mike Evans, who just continues to produce. Calvin Ridley, scary. Gambling Calvin. But, that's something to think about. Michael Pittman. So, and I think that if you're a Bears fan, you should look and say, wow, there is a free agent that worked out really nicely in DJ Moore. There's been a train of success, believe it or not, with Bears free agent wide receiver signings going back to Allen Robinson, which was a good signing. Yeah, I know it fizzled out at the end, but on the overall, you got your money's worth out of Allen Robinson. But you look at those guys, and then you put that up against, because they're, in terms of investing big in, it's probably either or between the draft and free agency. So you got those names: Higgins, Pittman, Evans, Ridley. And then you go to the draft, and then there is that guy, what Caleb Williams is to quarterback, Marvin Harrison Jr. is to receiver in this draft, undeniable, and all of that. But even beyond, this is a deep and talented wide receiver group for sure this year, beyond Marvin Harrison Jr. The big three for me: Marvin Harrison Jr., Malik Neighbors, and Rome Odunze as well. And there's more. There are guys who you could look at and say, this could be a productive, I don't know, number one-ish type receiver, any of those guys coming out. So if you can get, team up DJ Moore with somebody else. And again, I'm not necessarily building that for Justin Fields. I'm just using him as the example. Isn't it neat when there's wide receivers that produce? How about another one? Because it's going to tighten up for DJ Moore for sure. So yeah, we're going to get into all of that. I think that's it today. I did want to tell you guys that I will be hosting a show on the Score. The On the Clock. My On the Clock show is back. That is where once a week, Thursday or Friday, and I'll let you know via social media that we will be on the air live talking about the draft. I'll have draft experts on and people who know the participants and the players in it. So just be looking for that on my social media accounts, mostly on Twitter at Mark Grote Sports. There they are. Just pop right back up there. You can see on my for those listening, I'm on Twitter at Mark Grote Sports, and I am on Instagram too, and Facebook. Instagram just for the hell of it at Mark_Grote, and we spell the name Grote. So just be looking out for On the Clock, where we just go intense into the draft, and obviously it will be from a heavy duty Bears perspective. Not that we won't branch out a little bit with some of those guys. Thank you for listening and watching the Daily Score, as I appreciate you doing. For our executive producer, Ray Diaz, I am Mark Grote. I will talk to you tomorrow.